I'm going to make the almond dough that we use for kransekakestikker and for the Mandelhornchen. Please forgive my pronunciation. I've got all the ingredients already for the dough in here. I just have my egg whites. And the hardest thing about this cookie is getting the consistency of the dough right. So I just want to show you how that's done. What I need to do first is process the dry ingredients for maybe a minute or so. So I'm going to run it. So it's been about a minute now, and if you have a food processor like this, you'll see it kind of forming a trail. What we're doing is making sure that the nuts are really, really finely ground and it's all very well mixed. We don't want to mix it, or don't want to process it so long that it starts releasing oils. But if you see that little trail, that's a good sign. Crack 2 eggs, separate the egg whites and the egg yolks, and then just add them gradually. So maybe add like 3/4 to begin with, like this. And then turn on your machine again, and it should form a kind of a dough. So you can see it's starting to form a sticky dough. So it's sticky, but it won't stick to your fingers. It can probably use a little bit more egg white. So I'm going to put the rest of it in. See how it's turning into a ball? That's a good sign. So this is kind of the consistency that we want. See how it's sticky, but it holds together. So it forms a little bit of a sticky mess on my fingers. That's what we want to have. If it's too soft, it won't hold together, and if it's too dry, then it won't stick to your fingers. So this is what you're looking for. Let's shape the Mandelhornchen. So these are sticky almond cookies shaped in a little crescent moon, and they're dipped in chocolate after, but first, of course, we have to bake them. So I've weighed them out I've divided my dough into 20-gram balls. You can use your cookie scoop for that, or a spoon. And now what I'm going to do is roll them out. So I'm going to need some sliced almonds. And I make pretty small Mandelhornchen, so I like to crush my almonds a bit, otherwise the cookie just gets overwhelmed by these big pieces of almonds. So just crush them up a little bit more. So let's make one of these Mandelhornchen cookies. We've got our ball. Make sure it's nice and smooth. And we're going to start rolling it into a sausage shape. And once you've got a nice sausage shape, you can roll it in your sliced almonds. So crush them a little bit so they're not too overwhelming for my cookie. And just roll them in there so they stick to the outside until your cookie is about the width of your hand. See, like that. And when we get to that size, we want to taper the ends. There we go. A little bit bigger. And then we can form it into a crescent. Just bend it. I'm going to show you how to dip your Mandelhornchen in chocolate. So I've tempered some chocolate here. It's a little messy because I used it to dip something else earlier. I've also got some freezer paper here with the shiny side, the plastic coating up. You can also use wax paper, or honestly in this case my counter is nice and smooth, so that would work as well. But it's nice to have a nice smooth surface to set your chocolate on. So here I have a cookie. Here's my chocolate. I want to make sure it's well tempered. What I'm going to do first is dip the 2 ends in of the horseshoe. And then I'm going to dip the bottom part in. I like to dip the whole bottom of the cookie in because then you get a little bit of chocolate in every bite. So you'll see your chocolate is pretty thick. So I like to kind of shake it around a bit to get the excess chocolate off. So see, the whole bottom is coated, the front is clean except for the 2 bottom bits. And I'm going to place it on the freezer paper, chocolate side down. And I always temper at least 200 grams of chocolate just because it's really hard to temper a smaller quantity. So one tip for these cookies, if you're storing them, because these are kind of a chewy cookie, you don't want them to go solid. So if you leave them out in the open air, eventually they'll dry out and you'll lose that wonderful texture. So a tip for these kinds of chewy cookies is to store them in a sealed container. And the sealed container will keep the moisture in, and it will make sure that they stay nice and chewy. So we'll leave them for 10 minutes or so, and if you've tempered your chocolate correctly, they should go nice and solid. You'll see them go a little bit opaque, the gloss will disappear, and they'll go solid, and you can peel them right off the paper.